Hey everyone, it's Michael and
Ruben!
from Bullion Now, bullionnow.com.au, bringing you another interesting series, collection.
We've got I think collection kind of fills it because, series to me very much implies the kind of Perth Mint where we kind of get one at a time. This is one that we're kind of dropping all at once. I think there is a few still extras to come potentially in this collection, but we've got quite a few all at once. You can grab, I think we've got 10 different types here, Michael. So you can kind of pick and choose your favourites or go for the classic, got to collect them all.
So,
after we extract them from the boxes.
it all looks so simple when you do it post-production. Alrighty, so we'll start off with, have you announced what the series actually is?
Haven't. We've got the legendary warriors. So we've, some iconic warriors throughout history, maybe throughout mythology as well. But we've got some legendary warriors here. So interested to see which ones we like, which ones we don't. I don't know if we're going to give live commentary on that, but
well, it's never held us back before.
It hasn't. Let's take a look at the first one here.
This one is Geronimo. Sounds like a song.
I think you'll find it is. That we can't play or sing probably for copyright reasons.
Well, that's not the only reason I can't sing it.
No, pretend that's all that's holding you back, Michael.
Actually, I actually quite like that. The detail that's in there is actually beautiful. I don't mind that.
There's some very distinct layers there. You've got a nice foreground, midground and background going on, and it kind of, very much fills out the round.
Yeah. So that's Geronimo. Not the first in the series, but certainly the first that we opened.
That's it. Like I said before, I think there's a few still to come in this series. So I don't know if we'll be getting another batch, or I guess we'll wait and see what people think of this lot.
Yeah. Look, we grabbed them. I remember the conversation with Adzi. We grabbed them because they were a good looking round with the artist's impression and all that sort of stuff that we saw on their marketing.
Yep.
And they weren't a bad price for them. So we grabbed them. Leonardus.
I'm wondering with this one if we need to do a couple of cuts in between because the unboxing will be fairly similar for all of them. You've got your medallion tubes there with 20 in each, and full monster box there of 500.
Absolutely.
And, so we'll probably jump a little more from one to another.
The style is actually really nice.
So
it's quite a deep impression in the coin face itself. So sometimes you get very light stampings. These are actually quite a deep stamp.
No, some cool levels of detail on there, and it looks like it's going to look good under magnification. So I guess people will be seeing some of those shots now. So
going to be interested to see your B-roll on this, Reeves.
That's
see
it.
If we can make them pop. They certainly look. There's more detail in them than I expected for a cheaper round.
Yep.
The detail in them, they've really nailed it with these ones, I think. It's going to be interesting to see the whole series all one next to another. These might be the same round.
Uh-huh.
So we might have ordered 1,000 of these by the look of that one.
Yeah. Well, let's cut to the next one then that we unboxed. We'll go from there.
All right. So this one's Joan of Arc. Yeah, it's actually the detail they're getting into it is actually quite amazing.
Yeah, definitely the result of. I feel like I can see the artist's impression actually kind of coming through on the coin a little bit. Sometimes you can kind of see the difference and go, oh, but I can see someone going through and adding all that detail.
Yeah,
and it's really shining through on what they've done on the round. Next up,
alrighty,
Eric Bloodaxe.
Yeah, this is one I wanted to see.
Yeah, we've kind of seen a few tackle this kind of theme lately with the Germania Royal Mint kind of crossover. And it's, cool to see a bit of a different take on it.
I like this one. I like the background and most of it. Not sure they've captured the face, like the face of the mask. I think possibly the detail slipped there. But the rest of it's actually fantastic, even down to the, I don't know what you call the furry bits going over your shoulders, but the furry bits going over the shoulders. There's quite a bit of detail in there. So that's a good one, that one.
Fancy epaulets.
Yeah, that's probably the way to call it, isn't it? So that's Bloodaxe. What else have we got here? So this one's Achilles. The detail in the background is actually quite good, but if you're going to do a coin of Achilles, surely you'd show his heel. They've cut it off altogether.
Kind of a bit of a key point, although ironically the whole problem was that they cut off his heel from the important bit, so maybe it's a bit of a deliberate choice.
Well, then he shouldn't be running in battle. He should be like falling over or something like that.
Yeah, it gets a bit hard, I think, to do kind of full people on rounds like this because you then have to have them be a little bit smaller, and then you do kind of lose some of that detail on them. So
what's that? You're saying we should have a bigger planchet? Wow, I wish I'd heard that before on camera.
Definitely cannot argue that you're not the champion of. Yeah, I need a bit of a bigger planchet for this. It really brings out the detail.
Yes. I think there's a market missing quite often with, and it's easy for me to say because I'm not funding them, but quite often, and it's not just the big refineries, the smaller refineries, and that or mints, they'll produce a coin in 1 ounce, so you can spread the cost across many ounces of silver, and they won't go to these larger planchets, obviously, because it's still a similar expense to produce them, but you're spreading it over far less coins or rounds, or bars for that matter. But I think if several of them stepped up and actually took some of these really nice designs and actually put them onto the 10 ounce or even the kilo planchet size, I think they'd be quite surprised at the number that they would actually sell because people don't mind paying that extra for a good-looking round or a good-looking coin. So, Spartacus.
Hey.
Interesting, that one. I don't know how I feel about that one. Didn't love it as much as I thought I would. Again, it's the face of the mask. I think it loses it a little bit. Possibly because they can't get the detail. Like I'm really drilling down onto specifics of the design, and they probably can't get the detail in the design again because they're looking at such a small planchet that they're working with. I like the rest of it, but again, I think the mask lets it down a little bit.
Going back to the 10 ounces you were talking about before, I think that's clear. There's been quite a few designs lately, and sometimes it's just because they produce less, but the 10 ounce has been kind of the first to go. Those larger planchets, the Queen's Beast bars that we had in recently are a great example of that.
Yes.
The 10 ounce were the first to go, and from all accounts, they're pretty much sold out everywhere. They had a comment recently saying that they're chasing one from Germany because all the shops were sold out over there, and I've been hearing fairly similar stories. So
yeah,
I think, obviously that's a series with a bit of history to it, but it seems to be the 10 ounce that's the sought after kind of size, those larger planchets.
But when I talk to the mints and the refineries, they're like, oh, with silver going up so much, we just don't think that people are going to fork out the money. And look, there's to a degree they're right.
Yeah.
But to a degree, it's a case of people won't fork out the money. They're not going to buy hundreds of the same thing like they used to. Like we used to sell. We've talked about this before. You used to sell, tubes and boxes of 1 ounce coins, whereas nowadays you more see, people buy a couple or 5 or 10 sort of thing. But I think people will go, yeah, okay, I'll take a couple of the 1 ounce, but I'll also buy a 10 ounce or I'll also buy a kilo because I want that larger size. I want that statement piece. And I think, as I said, and the comments I've made to them has been, give it a try, and I think you'll be surprised. So Julius Caesar.
Julius Caesar. Not a whole lot of background to that one, but I still quite like it. Kind of gives off that formidable figure to it with his sword there.
Quite incorrectly, but not one I would have put in a Legendary Warriors series.
Okay. Have you heard the story of him and the pirates, Michael?
I'm going to go with no.
That's a favourite of mine. He was kidnapped by pirates at a young age. They took him and offered him up for ransom, and he got very, very offended and said, "I'm worth far more than that. Up my ransom, please," and demanded that they up it. So they went, okay. The ransom was paid, and then he came back and slaughtered them all. So, yeah, look, stories like that, I think there was absolutely a warrior side to him, but yeah, I do also...
A degree of arrogance to him as well, I would have said.
Absolutely. I think that might be a bit of a common theme across some of these legendary warriors.
But let's face it, when you control at that point the greatest army in the world,
that's it.
You probably have a right to a degree of arrogance.
I was going to say, it does take a certain type of person to take over that much of the world, I think.
Yes, well, this is true.
And I think there's, well, I know there's one coming up that is also another one of those take over the world types.
Oh, this is Alexander the Great. I mean,
yes.
He had a fair crack at it as well.
Sure did.
I don't think they've done a Genghis Khan.
They have.
I
believe it is in one of these other remaining ones. So, yeah.
Because that's one I'd get. Alexander the Great.
Ooh, I immediately think sovereign there with the with the horse in that position, but very, very cool.
And no helmet.
And no helmet. Does that mean you like it? You've been I think liking the ones without the masks a little bit more lately.
It's growing on me.
Is there still detail in him? Because that one is a bit of a full body thing, and kind of what I was talking about before, where it's a little bit more zoomed out. Do you still get the detail on the figure?
You do. You also get the detail of the poor guy being trampled by the horse. That's the part that's making me pause a little bit.
Bit of a slightly violent depiction.
Yeah, look, I mean, a bit of senseless violence makes a film sometimes, but I don't know about that one. I'm a bit uncertain with that one.
You can't have all these legendary warriors and just have them sitting around in fields drinking tea and having a picnic, Michael.
I know, I get it, but it's just, somebody being trampled by a horse, it's a little in your face.
Yeah. Going on what we were talking about before, where, we're not seeing people buy, lots of just the one type of coin around. That's honestly, done it unintentionally, but a little bit of a advantage to something like this, where you can get kind of all at once the same thing, air quotes, they're all part of the Legendary Warriors series, but you get the variety. You can pick up, like I said before, just one or two of the ones you like, or the whole range of the ones we've got here, and yeah, you still get that variety without having to just pick up the same of everything, basically.
Yeah, but the trouble is, if you're like me, you have to get one of each. Like, you can't just miss one out of a series. It's frustrating. Hannibal. Yeah, I like that one. It's a good one. Beautiful detail, particularly the background in this one.
I do like the consistency of the text at the top as well. The font across them. Looks like it almost might be different sizes based on what they can fit in, but yeah, it kind of brings a bit of a theme to it, and then over the other side there, you've got it across the all of them as well, all the different weapons.
It's interesting how they've pulled a weapon from each one and printed it on the back. And it's absolutely not a print. Like I said, that's quite a deep strike on these. Which is good. It means the deeper the strike you get, quite often, the better the detail you get out of it. So they've actually, despite me complaining about it needing a larger planchet, they've actually done quite well with these.
Again, I'm also looking forward to seeing how some of it shows up under some of the B-roll.
One more box.
One more legendary warrior.
We think.
We think
it's a different size to the other
different
boxes.
Size box. This could be something.
Wondering if we ordered something a little odd, or if they just used a different size box on this last one.
This one also doesn't have a label like the rest of them.
No.
Is it going to be a mystery, or is it going to be the Genghis Khan? Well, whoever it is doesn't deserve a...
It's Genghis Khan. I'm assuming by the GK.
The old GK. Yeah. Poor old GK doesn't get a dedicated box. So I think the other one I saw that I think might have been coming was Attila the Hun.
Yep.
And there might have been another. I'll see if I can quickly find where that is and flash them up on the screen.
No, I like this one.
You like this one?
Yeah.
Anything on a good one?
They've done well with this one, with the old Genghis Khan. So the detail in there and the stance that they've got him on the horse, yeah, that's a good way to finish. Interesting when you line them up next to each other. I'm not meaning to jump off the Genghis Khan quite so quickly because I think I think this one's probably my favourite out of the whole lot. But if you pan across them, you can actually see, and maybe it's just the lighting in here, but most of them are matte. But there's a couple of them, and the Genghis Khan and this one, I can't read upside down. I'm not actually sure which one this ended up being, but they're actually quite shiny.
It's the Leonidas, that one.
Yeah.
I think it could just be the lighting in here, but
Is it? Okay.
we'll do a bit of a comparison and see.
But definitely a good series to get. Again, it's not going to break the bank, but a nice series to get there. Probably Genghis Khan's my favourite. I don't know. Comment below if you've got a difference of opinion on them, but just the detail they've got into Genghis Khan and the background they've got there and the regalness of him sitting on the horse. That's how you should have a legendary warrior, is go for the regal, not for the tromping of the victims.
I think I like that they've done some regal, some a bit more violent. You know, it's not just, oh, here's, 10 different legendary warriors all looking the same, just with slightly different clothes and weapons. It's, this, let's try and depict a scene for that person. So I'm going to counter you a little bit on that and say I actually quite like the differences that they've gone to. The other thing I quite like, just a subtle thing but different to what we can sometimes see from other designers, is it looks like they've put a bit more detail into things like the sky.
Yes.
There's actually some cloud detail and that's it. I feel like it really fills out the background that little bit. It's not just this blank space that's kind of left behind, and I don't think it's made it too busy either.
No.
But we're two people that very much do not claim to be the artist type for coin design. So, but yeah, from our opinions, I think they've done a great job.
From a cheaper round perspective, quite often they do a very basic stamp.
Yeah.
And you don't get this level of detail or level of cut into the face of the coin, the round. Whereas this time they've gone all out. So yeah, I like it. I think they've done well with this one. I think it's a winner.
Good stuff. All right, well, let us know down below your favourites. Give us a like and a subscribe if you want to see more unboxings like this. And head down to the links in the description where we'll have all of these ones for sale.
Sounds good.
Thank you very much, Michael. We will see you in the next one.
Sounds good. See you soon.